Good Erev Shabbos, everybody. I hope everyone had a wonderful Pesach. This week's Parsha is that of Tazria and Mitzorah. And Tazria and Mitzorah is primarily dealing with the affliction called tzaras. Tzaras is not a natural condition, but rather it is something which is a phenomenon, as it can appear on the walls of one's house, a discoloration, the walls of one's garment, the clothing of one's garments, and even on one's skin. And the person goes to the Kohen who examines it. Sometimes the person is quarantined. Sometimes he is declared that he is a Mitzorah. And what are the laws in reference to this Mitzorah or the tzaras? We find that they are extremely stringent. If the person has this tzaras on the walls of his home, and this refers to a home in Eretz Israel, in Israel, and during the time of the temple, there are times in which the person has to remove some of the bricks, and they have to scrape around it and put in new bricks. And if the discoloration returns, and of course it cannot be attributed to mold or anything else, then sometimes the person has to dismantle the entire wall. And this is a terrible, terrible burden. In addition, during this period in which the house is under this condition of tzaras, it's quarantined. Anyone who enters automatically becomes ritually impure. And the person has to remove all of their furniture so that the furniture doesn't become impure. It's a tremendous headache. And if a person has tzaras on their garment, it's very possible that a part of that garment has to be cut out and burned. Sometimes if the discoloration returns, the entire garment is to be destroyed. And what about if the person finds this tzaras on their body? Then it can result in there being a Mitzorah in which they are literally banished. They're ostracized from the community. They have to go live outside the city limits all by themselves. They cannot even dwell with other people who are similarly afflicted. Bodod Yeshev, they have to be alone. This is an incredible stringency on the person. How do we understand this? Our sages explain three primary reasons, causes for this affliction of tzaras. One is a person who is extremely arrogant. They think the world was created for them. Another is for a person who is thoroughly insensitive without any compassion for the less fortunate and those who are in need. Their home is never open to invite guests. They're not charitable. And the third and most prominent reason is a person who engages in lashon hara, person who has nothing better to do with their lives but sit and be critical and speak about other people. Such an individual who has one or all of these flaws, this person is potentially suitable to be reminded of their flaws in their character with the arrival of this tzaras. How does one deal with this? How does one, if a person has tzaras and they go to the Kohen and the Kohen tells them this and tells them that, and you have to be living outside, you're almost excommunicated from the community. How does a person correct this? The Shloach Kodesh asks a question. It says in Parshas Mitzorah that the Mitzorah himself, the person with the tzaras, if somebody should be near him, he has to say, Tomei, Tomei, Yikra. He calls out, impure, impure. And the Shloach asks, what's the meaning of his saying it twice? If it's just to inform the individual, don't come near me because I am impure with the tzaras, and I don't want to contaminate you, I don't want to transmit it. Why does he have to say it twice? Tomei, Tomei, impure, impure. Let it just say, Tomei Yikra. He'll announce, I'm impure. That's enough. If the person didn't hear, he'll say it again. Why does the Torah repeat itself? And the Shloach Kodesh says something very insightful. He says what the Torah is revealing to us is the source of the flaw in character of this individual, because first of all, we must acknowledge that we have this flaw. If this tzaras was brought upon me, then it's a message from God that I need to address something within my own personality. We must address the reality. And then we have to try to think, how do I correct it? And the Torah is telling us, Tameh, tameh, impure, impure, yikra, meaning not just the simple explanation that he calls out to others, caution, there's impurity here, but rather tameh, one who is impure. Such a person has a choice in life. We can say, I'm not satisfied with my station in life. I'm not satisfied with who I am and who I become and where I'm going. And I need to make corrections. Or the easier route is that for someone who is impure and wants to feel good about themselves, Tameh Yikra will call out upon others, seeing the impurity in others. I'm not so bad because they're a lot worse. We do this, well, they all do it. We're not the only organization to open on Shabbos, all of them do. Seeing the weakness, the flaws in others, it helps to justify and it helps to build up our own confidence within the decisions of our lives. Knocking down someone else is a way of making my own person feel better. And this is what the Torah is saying. Do we sincerely want to address who and what we are and why God has brought this tzaras upon us? We must realize human nature is to live in what we call projection. That we see the bad in others, the flaws in others, and we're really projecting ourselves. You know why I could recognize this person, that he's so arrogant and he's so disingenuous and he never helps? I see it because I live it. It's part of who I am. And this is what the purpose of the tzaras is, to awaken the individual, to realize I cannot look at others to justify and rationalize my life. I have to look at my Creator. Am I truly living and doing what I was created for? Obviously, if God has brought this tzaras, it's a message. It's a message that I need to look not at others, but within myself. Now we're dealing with the reality. So how do we correct this? Now that I recognize that I've got flaws in my character, how do I become more compassionate and charitable? How do I think of others and not be so self-centered? How do I stop being so critical and talking about others and focus on growth for my own life? The Zohar looks at this verse. The verse is referring to the garment that has a discoloration. And it says that it was put aside by the Kohen to see if it would spread. And he puts it aside for a week. And then if it did not spread, then it says, V'hinei keha, it says, V'imra kohen, V'loihofach hanege es einai. After the garment was washed, after the garment was quarantined for a week, and he looks at it, and loihofach hanega, nega means the affliction, it didn't change its appearance, then even though the discoloration didn't spread, this is already tzaras. It needs to be burned, needs to be destroyed. The Zohar makes an incredible observation. He looks at these words, Loi hofach hanega, the nega wasn't changed. Hofach means to change, it means to reverse. And he says, the nega, the affliction, wasn't reversed, meaning the letters weren't reversed. How do we spell nega? Nun, gimel, ayin. If the letters would be reversed, it would spell ayin nun gimel, which spells oneg, like oneg Shabbos. Oneg, to be delight, to be happy, to see the good. You know why the tsaras remains on this garment? Do you know what God's message is to this person? That we see the bad because we're not happy. We're not satisfied. We're not experiencing an oneg in life, a joy for our existence, an appreciation for God's gift. Oh, life has its challenges and its struggles, but what a gift from God, what an opportunity. If this did not change, if the nega remains a nega, meaning the person is not inherently happy, and therefore they can only see the bad in others, and they can only see, I can't share my wealth with others, I can't share this, I'm only concerned about my own personal, individual happiness and growth, or whatever I think it might be. It's all about me. Such a person is not truly happy. Happiness is when we can see the good in others, we can see the good in life, we can smell the roses, and we can see the beauty of God's creation and the magnificence of his benevolence in the food that he provides for us, and fruits and vegetables and grains and bread and all the things that he gives us that we can enjoy. And to give us the ability to establish relationships, spouse, children, in-laws, grandchildren, friendships, and to cherish them. Not everything is perfect, but focus on the good. Take the nega, the Zohar says, and turn it into oneg. If we can make a decision and say, you know what? I want to be happy in life. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to be critical. I want to see the good in life. I want to see the good in people. I'm going to focus on that. This is how we begin to correct and remove the flaws in our character and change ourselves completely. This is the purpose of the tzaras. Unfortunately, we don't have the tzaras. We might say, oh, we're thrilled to death. There's no tzaras. Who needs this pain in the neck? It's really a message. It's like a doctor telling us, I found something. I found something, and it's wonderful that I found this because it's going to save your life. This is what God is telling us. I'm sending you an indication, a message to save your life, make it meaningful, make every moment happy that we can appreciate. That's what the purpose of the tzaras is. We don't have the tzaras, but God is constantly sending us messages. To hear the messages and to learn the lesson of these Parshas Tazria and Mitzorah. It seems so far and so distant. We don't have the temple. We don't have Kahanim who can look at the tzaras. We don't have the tzaras. We don't know what it is. But we still have the same point. And that is, see the good in life and appreciate the small things and appreciate every human being and appreciate God's gifts that he presents to us. Therein we'll find our own happiness and success, and therein we will remove ourselves from the deluge of insanity that somehow seems to encompass most of mankind. Stay safe and stay healthy and stay Jewish. Have a wonderful